so unstable. It's you probably sat in the meeting the other day.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it would be better to just go with someone who's sure they're going to be able to stay connected.
Sure. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing is for certain, but it seems like I'm doing well now.
Great.
Cool.
So are you guys okay if I let folks in? What do you think? Good?
Sure.
We can do like a countdown. 10,
Yeah.
9, 8. Okay. All right. I'm letting them in. Harrison, you might want to mention too that we are recording.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
You want to make me co-host?
I did. I think I did. Well,
Oh.
I did. Yeah, you're co-host.
Okay, cool.
Do you want to be the main host?
No.
Okay.
I have no opinion about that.
Okay. Great. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Hi, Derek and Camise.
Hi, Harrison. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you? Are you guys in Idaho? No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Well,
We just bought a farm.
Yeah, we just bought property, like closed on it last week.
Oh, holy cow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm going to send a note to the chapter right now.
Awesome. Yeah, we want to start a chapter up here.
It's like,
Yeah. I think someone reached out to, or who reached out to me? Yeah, there's the chapter, the Northwest chapter is really rad, but they're just a little smaller, so they don't quite have the capacity that we have here. But I'll, during this, I'll send you all a message with the contact info for the people up there. The chapter president, or the state president's kind of like is like internet famous. She's a beekeeper and like is rad stuff.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, it's hard because we're like right on the border between like Wyoming and Idaho. So we're like, like 6 miles from like the border. So it's like almost close enough to still be in Rocky Mountain, but not quite. It's kind of a bummer. We were disappointed.
Well, I'll start sending you guys messages so we're not letting everybody else hear our dirty laundry.
How are you? How's life?
Oh, great. This drought is killing me, but otherwise doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. It's a pretty dire situation, unfortunately.
I'm sorry. Yeah. It's I don't know. It's one of the things we got lucky with this property. Like some people, it's actually been on the market for like 3 years because it's covered in springs. So
God.
It has too much water. That's actually the problem. Like some parts of the world you have drought, other parts you're like, yeah, it floods a lot.
Pipeline.
Yeah. So we're, but we figure too much water is in a lot of ways less of an issue than not enough. We can figure out how to direct the water.
Totally.
So yeah, first time we've experienced that though. That'll be fun.
Well, send me pictures. I'd love to see it.
We will.
All right. Let's see. We're approaching 6:30, so I think we're going to get started here shortly. The 6:30. We'll give it just one more minute. Let folks log in. All right, as you guys are logging in, just a quick reminder to please silence your microphones. Cool, thank you.
Before I do that, I'd suggest you tell people how to get their video working for them if they want to.
So, so you should be able to see us. If you're having a hard time with anybody seeing videos, please send a chat to Amanda, please. She'll work with you to get your video up and running. Um, you'll notice your controls are in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. You've got a little microphone and a little video. That'll allow you to turn your mic on and off. That'll allow you to turn your video on and off as well. And we just ask that you please keep when you click on that mic, it mutes you, and we just ask you to please click on that microphone and stay muted for the duration of the presentation, unless you'd like to ask a question. All right. Well, let's I guess we're kind of into it already. I'll do it again. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much to the kickoff of the 2021 Food and Farm Forum. We promise it will be the best and like the worst virtual Food and Farm Forum we've ever done. Just worked out that way. We've been working really hard behind the scenes to try to make this conference happen, try to learn a whole new system. Our conference organizer, Amanda, if you see her throughout the airwaves or on the virtual signals, give her a huge thank you. She's been really pulling the majority of the weight for this thing, trying to get us all virtual. But we're here tonight for a really exciting sort of pre-conference event. Hopefully y'all had a chance to watch Sacred Cow, and now you get the really wonderful opportunity to speak with Diana Rogers, who will be doing a Q&A for the next 30 minutes with us. We were excited to invite Diana to be a part of the conference. You know, we in the ag community know how important animal agriculture is, not only for our food system, but for the land and the way that we are able to regenerate soils. And Diana, the co-author of Sacred Cow, produced this film, which it really drives home in a really powerful way the message that I think so many of us in agriculture are trying to tell. Diana is a real food nutritionist and sustainability advocate. She's located near Boston, Massachusetts. She told me to tell you she's only 1 degree away from a farm, but has spent years living on farms. She's the author of 3 books. She runs a clinical nutrition practice, hosts the Sustainable Dish podcast, and is an advisory board member for the Animal Welfare Approved and Savory Institute. She speaks internationally about the intersection of optimal human nutrition and regenerative agriculture, and she's, as I mentioned, the co-author of Sacred Cow, The Case for Better Meat, and the director-producer of the film that we watched tonight, or leading up to tonight. Before I hand it over to her, just really quickly, please, everyone, as I mentioned, stay on mute. If you are regularly coming off mute, either intentionally or unintentionally, I hate to be the bad guy, but we will have to kick you off so that you're not disturbing the meeting for everybody else. Tomorrow we will get started at 2:00 with our kickoff. You know, basically get started right at kickoff. You know, you can log in earlier. You know, there will be people there. We really encourage you to try to, you know, connect with folks virtually, to set up little chats, to message with people. You know, we'll have probably close to 250 people coming in and out of the conference over the next couple of days. So, you know, do your best to enjoy the virtual space. We've spent quite a bit of time trying to build it. I think without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Diana. Maybe, Diana, if you could just tell us a little bit about kind of where this all came from and where's your passion in this, and we'll open it up for questions.
I think Alejandro just joined. I think I just saw, that's really exciting. He was in the film. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. I made the film because I saw yet another sort of anti-meat propaganda film come out halfway through the writing of the book, Sacred Cow, and decided that, you know, if I really want to reach young people, a film is the way to do it. And people are so disconnected from farms. They're not visiting farms. So I need to bring the farms to them. So the idea for the book came from my experience as a real food nutritionist. So I'm very different, typical dietitian. I don't talk about everything in moderation and just controlling your portions. I really talk about eating real food, eating less processed food, cooking your own food. And I'm a huge advocate for animal source foods as a very essential part of human health. And especially animal protein being really great for just building muscle, making you feel full, which can help you not overeat. There's just benefits to eating meat. So I just thought I'd reach more people with the film, and it was really hard to figure out how to make the film because I'm not a filmmaker, and I wanted to cover everything in the film, but you can't do that in an hour and 20 minutes. And so it really went back and forth a lot. I thought about doing a docu-series with, an episode on each topic. But that would have required even more fundraising, which I am also not an expert in doing. So it ended up being largely a film focused on the environmental case for animals in our food system, with just a little bit on nutrition and ethics. And I've had really great feedback so far. A lot of college professors are streaming this to their classes. We've got a lot of high school science teachers that are really, really thrilled about this, because they're showing films like Cowspiracy in high schools, like as if it's science. My son's high school showed it. And the teacher told the whole class to start eating Beyond Meat to do their part for the environment. So I'm hoping that this film gets shown everywhere, that Cowspiracy gets shown, and that at the very least we can just start having a dialogue that's a little more nuanced about the role that animals play both for our nutrition and for the environment. And I really feel like you can't have an ethical discussion about whether or not to eat meat unless you fully understand the environmental and nutritional benefits of grazing animals in particular. So that's my quick spiel, and I'm more than happy to take questions.
So everybody, if you're going to ask a question, let's go ahead. You can unmute yourself and please state who you are and just don't just blast in with your question. Give Diana a little bit of context of who you are, where you're calling in from, if you're a farmer or rancher. And then also, if you want to type your questions into the chat, you can type your questions into the chat. We'll be monitoring that too, and can interject with questions from there as well. So let's see. We'll open it up to y'all to ask questions. Let's hit it.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So my name's Evan Cummings, and I live here in Hotchkiss, Colorado, and just tried my hand at planned grazing this last summer and really enjoyed it and really appreciated the documentary. So it was a really great experience. We watched it as a family last night, and the kids said, "Dad, you need to buy the documentary." So anyway, that was a good thing. So we wrote some questions, but I'm sure I probably only get one here. But I guess our first question is just, when did you start the filming? How long did it take? And just interested in about funding the project as well, as far as how those resources came together for you. It was such a nice, enjoyable watch. And so I just thought, for somebody like me who wanted to start it someday, what's that project like? How long does it take? And how do you get funding?
Don't do it.
Okay. I get it.
I started in the summer of 2017, coming up with an idea for the basic structure of the film, I did a crowdfunding campaign in November, December of that year. And I have a lot of friends in the health and nutrition space that are really not happy with the anti-meat messaging. And so they all shared the crowdfunder with their networks, and especially the paleo community, which I've been sort of part of that community for about 10 years. Rob Wolf is my co-author, and he's sort of the godfather of the paleo community. So, I mean, everyone was sharing it. They hate those films. So, that was a great motivator for all of them to support me. So I first raised about $100,000, which got us started. We started filming, we started tracking different stories, really trying to figure out, we initially tried to do this as a character-driven film. So that's a little different than the style that it ended up being, which is more of an advocacy style film. But of course, character-driven films are always more interesting. So we were really looking for a character to like bring us through, but it just didn't work out that way. Anyway, so it transformed into a lot of different forms. It looked many times like it wasn't going to happen. I mean, this was like the most manic depressive project ever, because it would look like it wouldn't happen, and then all my work would go away, and I would let all these people down who donated to the crowdfunder, and it was just several points were really rough during the project. But I ended up getting an anonymous donor came in whose health was destroyed personally by and she came in and gave me some funds to get it going again. And I also got a producer, James Connolly, out of New York City, to help me with structuring it and really refining the message. And then we got Nick Offerman on as the narrator, which was really fantastic. And so it kind of all came together, and I'm so happy it's done, and I will never do it again.
So what was the timing then? What was the first, beginning to end?
I guess 3 years, 3.5 years.
3.5. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Short, actually, from what I've heard, from what I've learned about filmmaking, it's a very, very short period of time. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, good for you. You did a nice one on your first one.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Evan. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Jen. I'm with Mountain Roots Food Project in Gunnison, Colorado. I'm just curious, was there a lot of resistance when you were talking to ranchers and, collecting people for the project? Because it seems like a pretty sensitive subject to a lot of ranchers. So what was that conversation like?
I knew most of the ranchers before I even started filming, and all the nutrition experts too, because I had been doing this podcast for a long time. So like Joel Salatin, I'd been to Polyface Farm several times before for events. Alejandro came highly recommended. There he is, from Alan Williams, who is an expert that I know. And that was definitely the highlight ranch. I mean, to see it on a brittle environment really blew my mind. Like it's way different than just going and seeing it in a humid area. So that was really special. The only groups that were really sort of untrusting were the butchers, the slaughterhouse, because they were just really concerned that, if something went wrong, these images would go up on YouTube, and, they were just really worried about how it would be portrayed. So I did make an agreement with them that, they could see the footage before it went into the film. Normally filmmakers don't do that, but I wanted to let them know that they could fully trust me. The original version of the film actually did show the whole slaughter. And to me, that was important because I wanted a beautiful version of it to combat all of the horrible versions that everyone sees. But the feedback that I got from my team, you know, my friends and family that watched it, who are in the livestock industry, they had a hard time watching it. They don't want to see this slaughter. And I've been to so many slaughters that to me, I was like, wow, that was a great one, you know, but that not everybody's ready for that. And I was told that, you know, for the general public, they're not ready for that either. And, you know, it could end up sort of hijacking the message of the film, and everyone would just be talking about, oh my God, did you see that slaughter scene? So we pulled it out and just sort of gave the hint of slaughter. But it was, you know, I've worked a lot with Animal Welfare Approved, and I'm really into animal welfare when it comes to handling during the death phase. And so anyway, so that was the only group that was a little nervous, but maybe I should have been more nervous. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate it. With a background in nutrition, it's a really important message. So thank you for this film.
I will say that we did go to Harvard and filmed with Walter Willett in the Harvard School of Public Health. And for those of you who don't have a background in nutrition, he is like Mr. Anti-Meat. And he said some pretty crazy things in his interview. We didn't include all of it because that wasn't the style of film I was going for, but I think the quotes that we got out of him really supported our case. And he didn't ask enough questions about what this project was about before they let us wander around the halls of Harvard Public Health. So I could have really spun it in a different way, but I didn't.
So I have another question. Oh no, I'm not going to sneak in. Someone else put her hand up.
Thanks, Evan.
So I have a question for you, Diana. Carol Parker. My husband and I got into grass-finished, chemical-free back in '85 through holistic management. And, you know, so we've been touting the benefits, environmental and nutrition of grass-finished beef for quite a long time. And believe it or not, we still have some members of the extended family that are still vegetarians and that kind of. So in the book, you talk about this transformational process you went through and the paradigm shift that you went through. And I just, you know, I'm hoping to have a few of them watch the film, and I think it will be very helpful to a family conversation. You know, obviously we're fine with them being vegetarians, and that's a choice. But I just wondered if you had advice or could share some experiences of other people that might have reached that tipping point.
Yeah, so I think it's much easier to be a vegetarian than a vegan. So, you know, to me, eggs and meat are animal source foods, and vegetarians really aren't meat free. They're just kind of less meat, right? Because eggs, fish, chicken, I mean, it's all animal proteins.
Yeah. Well, we've got one vegan too, so.
Okay, so that's a totally different, that concerns me. Vegan diets concern me. The average vegan only lasts 3 months, so that's a good news. So they're very likely to come back to the other side quickly. Most of them come back because they have a major health problem. It's just a matter of time, really, before one of the wheels falls off. I think that it can be hard for them socially. That's a really big problem when someone leaves the vegan community, because usually, you know, diets have become our new religion. And so when you're becoming a vegan, you're like joining this belief system, and you've got this network of community there that's supporting you and encouraging you. And if you're having health problems, you're not doing it hard enough. Or maybe you need to be a fruitarian, or maybe you need, you know, like it can get really intense. And when you want to leave that community, you know, just like leaving a cult or something, I mean, that you get really ostracized. So Lierre Keith explains her experience as a vegan and leaving the vegan community in her book, The Vegetarian Myth, which is really good. It's a memoir. So it's sort of like Sacred Cow, only a personal memoir. She was the one in the film. I have a course called Meat Curious that's geared towards people who are slightly meat phobic. Maybe they've eaten less meat, or they're concerned about meat's impact on their health, or they have a family member that had colon cancer, or they don't like how animals are treated, but they know they should be eating meat, but they feel really conflicted about it. So I have that course for them. And there's some Facebook groups, also like support groups for people. But in the course and in my private practice, I help people reincorporate meat back into their diet. So I talk to them about maybe you don't want to handle raw meat in your kitchen first. Maybe you want to go get a burger at a restaurant, or maybe you want to start with some chicken broth, and really just help them feel better about eating meat. So does that answer your question?
Great, thank you. Ralph.
We had a question in the chat that was just about how appropriate the film is for young children, and I think that also sort of speaks to an interesting question about what is the, how did you craft a film that was going to be, sort of span generations in terms of its appeal?
So my target aim of the film was high school, college, millennials. That kind of age group. That's just who I was picturing would watch it. I don't think it's inappropriate to show kids this. I think they probably get bored. My kids got bored, but they hear me talk about meat all the time. There's a really great book for little kids that I found online that it's called Everybody's Somebody's Lunch. And I think that's awesome. And it just explains, that the cat wasn't a bad cat for eating that mouse, and that, this is all the way the world works, basically. So I think that there's little lessons that need to be learned from a very early age about how death is part of life. And it's very natural to eat animals. It's very important. The animals give us strength, and it's just, part of this web. So I would probably go in that direction a little bit, a little softer direction initially. And then, if it's a really inquisitive middle schooler, they'd probably be into it, but it's probably more appropriate for high school and college kids.
Diana, I just want to add that I have an 11-year-old son, and he watched it the other night. At first he didn't. He was like, "It's a documentary. I don't want to watch it." And he came in about midway through, and when we got to the end, he said, "Can we start it from the beginning? I want to see all of it." So just thought I'd share that.
I really appreciate that. And I know that when the science teacher, my son was in 9th grade, when the science teacher told the whole class that they should be eating Beyond Meat, Beyond Burgers, he had an Apple Watch on, and he hit record, and he stood up, and he gave her the full dissertation of everything that I've been saying. And then she got an email from me later that day. So they hear it, and they know. So it's just important I think we as a society are hide death too much, and it ends up really turning into weird eating disorders and weird obsessions with longevity and just weird things in the future. So I think we need to make it a normal part of life as younger people.
Cool. Thanks for that insight. Y'all, we really want to respect Anna's time. We've got about 5 minutes left in the Q&A. So if you've got a question that's burning inside, now's your chance.
Hey there. Yeah, I'd love to ask a question. This is AJ Carrillo, not Alejandro Carrillo. Sorry to disappoint. Wish he was here too. I just wanted to ask you, since you're kind of in this educational space and, helping spread the good word. How is your, what's your approach with combating fake news, like when talking to people who don't have this education or who have that real strong disagreement without that education? What's your approach? Obviously this is a great documentary. Obviously you have this great book. But what are some techniques when you're talking to someone on the street or something like that? So thanks.
So I don't soccer mom conversation. I do not bring up what I do for work. So nobody really knows. So I just pretend that I'm a regular person, and I just try not to be evangelical about it all. Like in my normal, I wait for somebody to ask me a question or show interest. Of course, that's not how social media works. They come at you, right? And I've had lots of very rude things happen. So I try to be as logical as possible, as unemotional as I can. I make those infographics. There's a lot of, the things we animated in the film and more are all available at sacredcow.info for you guys to share on social media under the Learn section. And we have them also translated in like French and Spanish and Portuguese. So just trying to break down it's like a game of whack-a-mole. Like you talk about, okay, you explain that meat doesn't cause cancer, but then they're like, well, but the water, but the methane, but it's bad to kill animal, like just so many different points that they can attack on. That's why in the book, we kind of have a choose your own adventure section where go find your if this is your concern, find it on page 23 or 72 or whatever. But yeah, I try not to I don't fight for free. I'd spend all my time just arguing with people for no money if I did that.
Dan, I want to make sure to offer you an opportunity. Thanks for plugging the sacredcow.info. But just in general, maybe we can end our Q&A session by talking about how people can support you and the work that you're doing, how people can follow up, and maybe talk a little bit about what is the next step. What's the next step with the film? What's the next step with with this narrative that we're trying to teach, and leave us with those thoughts.
Yeah. I am working on an impact campaign right now to bring more schools and universities and community groups the film for free and my time. And so I am affiliated with a nonprofit. So at sacredcow.info, people can contribute to that. That would be huge because I'm trying to do this, as a job, and you do not make money as a filmmaker or an author. So that would be great. And I do have a really exciting piece of news. I was contacted by the chief of staff of a US senator who watched the film and read the book and is forming a committee through the new Department of Natural Resources to get more regenerative grazing on public land. And actually Alejandro is going to be working on that with me. So that's amazing. That's so great. People can find the film again at sacredcow.info in the book. My nutrition practice, I do one-on-one. I have also courses and things like that at sustainabledish.com. I do consulting. I do marketing consulting. And I'm most active on social media on Instagram, and it's at Sustainable Dish.
Awesome. Wow, you nailed it. It's 7 p.m. our time. A quick note for before we log off, and then Diana, I'll let you have the last word. This film we did record this. Sorry, I should have said it at the beginning. But the film was recorded, or the Q&A was recorded. It will go up and be available for the next 6 months on the Hoover web platform. So if you missed a good chunk of the Q&A, I've been seeing people continuing to log in throughout the throughout this Q&A. You can catch it there. Once again, reminder that the rest of the conference will commence tomorrow at 2 and go through Saturday. And we really look forward to it. And we really are super grateful for Diana to kick our virtual conference off. This was like a really exciting way to kick off a conference that, to be honest, all the organizers were working hard on, but can't help but be nervous in a new format. So thanks for kicking so much butt, Diana.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor. I'm really excited to share it with as many people as possible.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, y'all. We will see you tomorrow.